Hey everybody, it's your boy Sheltered Hell. How you doing? Um, I just wanted to kind of go into something, and I wanted to kind of I don't, I'll just kind of put this as a thank you, to ESPN. ESPN, thank you all season for your absolute bias reporting of FSU and your lack thereof of efficient journalism. I want to thank you for that. And the reason I want to thank you for that is because you've created hate towards FSU that was not necessarily justified or not necessarily even right, but because of that hatred that fueled our players and gave us the extra motivation. Like, let's go for example, just some of your erroneous reporting. Before the Notre Dame game, all throughout the Notre Dame game, you brought Mark Schlabach down there, and you brought down Darren Ravel, to do like this investigative report or whatever. And you had basically stated that with JSA, this authentication company had authenticated like over 1,000, 2,000 Jameis Winston signatures. The number kept going up and up. You kept asking Jimbo Fisher about it, and Jimbo Fisher had let you know that he had spoken to Jameis Winston about it. It's in the compliance department's hands. If they find out anything in the investigation, his status with the team would be changed. So basically, you put out this report, and you basically were, saying that all these items were authenticated by, JSA. But then come to find out that not nearly that the authentication company itself, JSA, they pretty much were like, no, we can't authenticate these because we never actually saw Jameis Winston sign these. And then the source that you guys utilized, then the source that you used, got proven to be frivolous. So Jameis Winston was a no-show. He had all these people show up. He basically, essentially, forged it or whatever. And then then it was only given up to the JSA after another authentication company stated that they would not take it. So I thank you for that. But did you guys come out and say, "Oh, my bad, Darren Ravel, his reporting was a little bit, erroneous, or that he jumped the gun or anything like that"? No, you didn't. You didn't report that at all. What you did was you hid behind the story of Adrian Peterson. You put a little ticker on the ESPN, and you didn't report the exoneration of Jameis Winston nearly with the same veracity as what you did with the autograph. You guys came down to the campus, and every single day it was how many autographs. It was on First Take, it was on His and Hers, it was on every single ESPN program, and you barely heard about it the next day afterwards because you guys had moved on to Adrian Peterson. And then actually what you did that same week that we found out that Jameis Winston was exonerated, there was a shooting on our campus, on Florida State's campus, by the library. Now, here's the thing that pissed me off mostly about this, because that was a tragedy, that was an incident, and nobody ever wants to see anything like that happen. But did ESPN take their time out to actually sit there and say, oh, good job on the Tallahassee Police Department, who's been much maligned, who you guys have erroneously and falsely, well, not you guys, but the New York Times have sat there and said that they mishandled the handling of the Jameis Winston rape case or whatever, and they'd been much maligned or whatever, but nobody wanted to give the Tallahassee Police Department credit for when a 911 call was made. They were there to respond within 2 minutes and gun down the shooter and save lives. Nobody brought that up at all in the Jameis Winston case. But you know what you did? You had over 50 mentions of Jameis Winston shoving a referee, which the ACC then came back afterwards and said that it was incidental contact or whatever, but nobody made any mention of the tragedy that had happened at FSU and giving kudos to the Tallahassee Police Department for their quick and immediate response. Nobody did that. But that's fine. You guys put out stories about freaking Jameis Winston shaving points. Now, the fact that the NCAA investigated this and found zero findings of Jameis Winston actually shaving points, but did you guys come out and with the same veracity that you guys did about the point shaving? No, not even close. You guys last year put out an article. The first thing you put out on your website was that Jameis Winston was identified as a suspect in the rape case with his female counterpart or whatever. And the first thing you put out was that the DNA was found in the women's panties, and it was Jameis Winston's. Did you guys go out and report that there was also another male's DNA sample in this girl's panties or anything like that? No, that didn't get reported. You guys say that Jimbo Fisher runs a rogue. Basically, have had like your talking heads on there saying that Jimbo Fisher has lost control of this program. We're running a rogue program and everything like that. But nobody wants to report the fact that the reason that our defensive coordinator, Jeremy Pruitt, right now we've had a dip in our defense this year. We go from being the first overall defense last year to now this year we're the 51st overall defense. And the reason that we had part of the reason that happened was because we asked our defensive coordinator to resign. He all of a sudden ended up in Georgia, and nobody knew why he ended up in Georgia. But the reason that he ended up in Georgia was because said Jimbo Fisher found out about him sleeping around with people in the athletic department, like a Bobby Petrino, and he said that in Florida State, we will not have that happen. So Jimbo Fisher asked Jeremy Pruitt to leave Florida State. Along with his wife, they asked to leave Florida State because he did not want to compromise the integrity of the program. But did anybody report that? No, that didn't get reported at all. You see, this is the thing that I have a problem with ESPN about, is like the way that you guys paint FSU and the way that you put us out there and the way that you erroneously and falsely report stuff about us. It makes it seem like, FSU is this, renegade program, and that we're just running like this dirty program and everything like that, and nothing is actually happening or anything like that. And it's sad because, like, everything that Jameis Winston has done wrong, we've punished him for. He stood up on a table and he shouted an obscene phrase, and we punished him for it. He walked out of a Publix with crab legs, and we punished him for it. One of our receivers, Bobo Wilson, he had 6 felonies reduced to misdemeanors. Now, do we agree that those felonies should be reduced to misdemeanors? That's not for me to say. That was up to his attorney and the district attorney, and they made a deal between themselves, and they were willing to reduce it down to 6 misdemeanor charges or whatever. And so, what happens? Bobo Wilson is suspended for the first part of the year. But it goes out that, like, FSU is running a rogue program and a rogue renegade program or everything like that when we're punishing our players. Jimbo Fisher suspends starting linebacker Terrence Smith for violation of team rules. Doesn't tell the media about it. We don't know about it until after the game. But nobody reports that. Marcus Allegwe is kicked off the FSU football team. Jimbo Fisher doesn't say why he got kicked off the football team. He just says a violation of team rules. Nobody reports that. Greg Dent, last year, was slated to be the starting receiver. He was going to start over Kelvin Benjamin. He gets accused of sexual assault, gets arrested and charged. He's immediately kicked off the FSU football team. Nobody gives kudos to that or anything like that. You see, these are the things that piss me off about ESPN. But you know what? I will say thank you. Because if by you guys doing this and you painting us in the wrong light has inspired and motivated our players to play the way that they are, I say thank you. And well done, ESPN. Goodbye.